My beloved child, there is something sacred, something heavenly, that is being quietly transferred from above, making its way from heaven to earth even as we speak. This is no ordinary moment. This is no fleeting blessing. What's coming is a divine gift, a holy seal, marked not with ink, but with the authority of heaven itself. No riches could ever purchase it. No fame could ever earn it. It doesn't arrive with the blast of trumpets. There's no spotlight announcing its descent. Instead, it's being wrapped, ever so gently, in the love and faithfulness of the Lord, then sent like a whisper, coming to rest upon the roof of your home. Yes, your home, not with fanfare, but with purpose. This is not just a letter. It is a holy scroll, a scroll sealed with heaven's imprint, and upon it, your name is inscribed in radiant letters, glowing with a light that no force on earth or in hell could ever erase. You may not see it with your natural eyes, but in the spiritual realm, it has already been handed to an angel, and he's on his way. Even now, this scroll carries something precious, a promise God once whispered to you. Maybe it came through a dream, or through a prophecy, or maybe it was just a gentle stirring in the stillness of the night. And perhaps, over time, you forgot. But he didn't. He never went silent out of neglect. He was preparing, waiting for the exact moment. And that moment, beloved, is now. Don't let doubt smother the fragile joy that's starting to awaken in your heart. Don't let the long waiting convince you that the promise is gone. It hasn't been canceled. It's been preserved, sheltered in divine wisdom, held in unconditional love, protected by loyal angels until the time was right. And now, that time has come. That gift is drawing near. It's almost here. Nothing, no person, no past, no circumstance can block its arrival. You've walked through a season soaked in tears. You've sat in the darkness, asking why so many unfair things had to happen. You've endured betrayal, sharp words, abandonment by those who once swore they'd stay. And your faith, your precious faith, was shaken. You were like a tender sapling caught in a violent storm. But still, you did not fall. You were knocked down, yes, but you got up. No one held your hand, but you kept walking. Heaven felt silent, but you never stopped praying. Your tears became your unspoken voice. There were days no one else knew about, except you and the Lord. Days when you quietly endured without complaint. Days you chose not to grow bitter. Days you simply held on and whispered, God, I believe you'll remember me. And now, that day has come. Not because you were perfect, not because you were stronger than others, but because you believed. Because you stayed under his covering, even when everything else was falling apart. Heaven saw that. Heaven never forgets. And it was that quiet, unwavering faith, that love that needed no spotlight, that moved the heart of heaven. And now, because you chose to hold on, because you stood firm even when the ground beneath you trembled, a divine gift has been released. Not as a reward for effort, but as a confirmation that heaven has seen you, that your name is known in the courts of the Almighty, that you have been chosen, not randomly, not accidentally, but purposefully, to step into the next season of your life. You are no longer stuck between what was and what might be. You've reached the turning point. This This is where the shift begins. Not just within you, not just in thoughts or feelings, but in the world around you, in what your eyes will now witness, in what your hands will finally hold, in what your heart, once bruised and bleeding, will soon experience: restoration, renewal, joy. The storyline of your life is being rewritten. The pages are turning from survival to fulfillment, from barren ground to places overflowing with hidden springs, from nameless shadows into the bright, revealing light where God's glory will shine, not beside you, but through you. And yes, some may stand by and wonder. Some may question, why you? Why now? But they don't understand. They cannot see the unseen record of your faithfulness, because heaven doesn't choose based on earthly standards. God selects the one who waits, the one who bends low in humility and whispers in the dark, "I don't understand, but I still believe." And you've said those words, haven't you? Not just once, but countless times. In lonely moments, in silent nights, in the spaces where hope seemed far away, and still, you believed. That's why heaven has chosen today to shift the winds in your favor. This isn't just Yende. This is the appointed moment when every unanswered prayer, those whispered in faith, those cried in silence, begins to find its response. The seeds you sowed without fanfare, in private, they are breaking through the soil. The ground you once declared lifeless is now preparing to bloom in color and fragrance and promise. So open your heart, not with fear or anxiety, but with readiness. This is a sacred letter meant for your spirit to receive. Don't try to figure it all out. Don't let logic steal what faith is trying to deliver. Just believe, because every single word carries the breath of the Holy Spirit. These aren't just lines on a page. They are living blessings, meant not only for you, but for every generation connected to you. What is being released will touch those you love, especially the ones silently searching for hope, though they don't know where to find it. And because of your obedience, a new doorway is opening, one wide enough for your whole family to walk through together. A generational shift is being set in motion because you said yes. Precious soul, you've arrived at the intersection of destiny. And once you step across, everything will change forever. Because God is not simply rewriting what was broken. He's crafting an entirely new chapter, radiant, sacred, and unshakable. A story that no human hand can disrupt. And when this light finally bursts forth, it won't be your name that people applaud. It will be the name of the Lord, lifted high, honored, and glorified. Through your life, and just when you think the story couldn't go deeper, it does. Because there's something else heaven wants you to know. You see, when God moves, He rarely does so with noise. The message that's coming your way will not arrive like some grand public announcement. It won't be shouted through speakers or broadcasted across stages. No, it will come like a breeze from heaven, gentle, yet powerful, quiet, yet utterly impossible to ignore. And once it brushes across your life, everything within you will begin to shift. Not just a minor change in routine, but a deep, sweeping reformation. The kind of change that realigns your very direction. A divine adjustment will begin to unfold, softly, yet unmistakably. It will touch your thoughts, realign your soul, reshape your relationships, and even clarify your calling. You'll start to feel, deep in your bones, that the very fabric of the universe is moving, making space, preparing the way for what's been promised to you. And in that moment, you'll know This isn't coincidence. It's not chance. This is the hand of God. This is divine intervention. Because this message, this sacred word, is not arriving just to surprise you or uplift you for a moment. It's coming to affirm something eternal. To confirm that every tear you swallowed in silence, every single time you chose endurance when giving up seemed easier. Every morning you got up with a heavy heart but still whispered, "I believe." None of it was lost. None of it forgotten. This is the reward. Not as a payment, but as heaven's answer to a soul that refused to let go. These are not merely comforting words on a page. What is being sent to you carries spiritual force. It carries life, prophetic, living breath straight from the heart of God. It won't just encourage you. It will unlock something. A future long held in waiting. A purpose long sealed away. And when your eyes take in the words, your heart will tremble. Not with fear, but with the kind of holy recognition that says, "This is it. This is what I've been waiting for." Because these words will not be foreign to you. They will sound familiar, like something God whispered to your spirit in the loneliest hours. They will echo what you once heard when the world was silent. And you'll know they were always meant for you. And here's something else, something sacred. Even as you listen now, someone, somewhere, is quietly preparing something on your behalf. Not because of luck, not because of coincidence, but because they've been stirred. Their heart has been moved in ways they cannot explain. A divine impulse, an invisible nudge, pushing them to do something for you, because of you, and perhaps even with you. And you may not expect who it is. It might be someone entirely new, or maybe it's someone from your past, someone you thought was gone from your life for good. But whoever they are, they're not acting on their own. They're responding to a higher voice, to the quiet orchestration of the Holy Spirit. They're not rushing. They're not waiting on human timing. They're listening for a heavenly signal. And somewhere, not far from now, that signal is about to sound. And that moment, the one you've been sensing in your spirit, is closer now than ever before. The moment they will speak, the moment the silence will break. Remember when you waited so desperately for a sign? A message, a call, a reply that said, "Yes, it's happening." You whispered, "Just one more sign, Lord, just one." And now, this is it. These very words, right here, right now, are that sign. You no longer have to search outward. You don't have to wonder or second guess. Heaven has already spoken. And when heaven speaks, you don't need permission from people. You don't need applause or validation, because the word from God carries its own weight. It will bear fruit in its time. What was delayed will now be released. What felt restrained will suddenly break open. That door, the one that shut in your face when you needed it most, will be opened. And it won't be opened by your striving. It will be opened by the very hand of the Almighty. Can you picture it? That moment when your life, once caught in cycles and repetition, suddenly veers in a brand new direction. Not because you pushed, not because you tried harder, but because the King of Heaven gave a command in the unseen realm, and it changed everything. Those who once overlooked you will start to hear your name in places they never expected. Connections that seemed long buried will come alive again, but this time with purpose, divine purpose. The dreams you had buried, the ones you silenced out of fear or pain, they're not gone. They've been waiting. And now they rise again, stronger, bolder, not because of your effort, but because of the confirmation that God is the one breathing life into them. You no longer have to explain yourself. You don't need to convince anyone to see what you saw in faith. You don't have to fight to be understood. Now, the Lord will show them through what He does for you. He will speak through action. And when the miracle comes, and it will come, all you'll be able to do is bow your head, let the tears fall, and whisper with trembling lips, "Lord, I know this was you." But beloved, remember this: when that change comes, keep your heart humble. Don't rush to share everything too soon. Some miracles are meant to be held in the quiet, hidden for a time, sheltered in the secret place between you and God until they fully take shape. Let others see the fruit. Let them witness the beauty. But keep the roots buried deep in sacred silence, because it's in that still space where God will continue to shape you, prepare you, and teach you what you need. Not just to step into the promise, but to stay in it. To walk it out with wisdom, not just with excitement. There is still a journey ahead. This is not the finish line. It's only the threshold. A door has opened, not just for you to pass through, but for you to lead others behind you. Because you weren't chosen just to stand tall. You've been appointed to serve, to gather, to guide. You are a receiver of blessing, yes, but you are also being called to become a giver of it. And just when you begin to realize the weight of that calling, something even deeper begins to unfold. So prepare yourself, not only for the change in your circumstances, but for the expansion of your vision. This is not just about receiving a promise. It's about stepping into a mission. What was once a quiet hope is now becoming a divine assignment. And when that moment comes, when the person finally speaks, when the long-awaited call is made, when the final letter reaches your hands, you will see it with stunning clarity. You are the very answer that heaven has been preparing for someone else's prayer. And now, listen closely, because this is not just another message. This is a command. The Archangel Michael, God's warrior, the one who appears at the most pivotal turning points in the spiritual realm, he speaks. And when he does, his voice carries weight no soul can ignore. With unmistakable authority, he declares, "Child, I command you, open this now." This is no longer a suggestion. It is a holy decree infused with the full power of heaven's authority. There is no room left for hesitation, no more space for fear or doubt. Because in this very moment, you are standing at the threshold of something sacred, a proclamation that will shake not only the earth, but the heavens above. You may not see it yet, not fully. The veil still hides what is unfolding behind the scenes. But in the unseen realm, light is being written with words that carry eternal weight. A decree from the throne of God Himself is being signed, not by ink, but by His almighty finger. And engraved into that decree is your name, etched not in dust, but in refined gold, not for display, but to be proclaimed before the hosts of heaven. A glory is descending, not to reward your effort, not to crown your ambition, but to establish something that could only come from above. This is divine. This is appointed. You have been chosen. And now, the hour has come for your calling to echo, not just in the unseen realm, but in the visible one, in the realm of the living. There was a time when your name was mentioned in shadows, whispered in secret places, not with respect but with cynicism. You were the subject of quiet doubt, of twisted stories, shared behind closed doors. But now, truth is rising, and those voices, They will no longer be allowed to define you. In fact, the very ones who mocked you will be the first to rise in awe when your name is spoken in glory. They won't be able to look away anymore. Your elevation won't need applause. It won't need defense. It will proclaim itself, undeniably, through the radiant glory of God shining on you. And those who believed you were forgotten, those who assumed your time had passed, they will see the truth with their own eyes. You were never discarded. You were never abandoned. You were hidden, carefully, intentionally, held in reserve so that you could emerge in a moment no one could have predicted. That moment is today, not tomorrow, not someday. Today, heaven steps in. A divine interruption has come, and it's rewriting everything, starting now. All the cycles you've repeated, the routines that dulled your days, the endless swirl of daily existence, God is gently pressing pause, not to disrupt your life, but to prepare sacred space. Space for something so weighty, so holy, that even time must hold its breath. Because what is about to be released isn't small. It's not just a message. It's a divine proclamation being inscribed in gold within the spiritual realm. This is not a rumor. This is not a hopeful feeling. This is a decree. Something has already been formed in heaven, appointed, ready, and waiting only for the signal to be released. And do you know where it's heading? To your home. Yes, your very house. The same place where you once cried in secret, where your prayers rose into the silence, where you asked yourself, Lord, are you even listening? That very space will now become the dwelling place where the glory of the Lord descends. So open your heart, now, not later. Don't keep it locked behind walls built by past pain. Don't let the fear of disappointment steal this sacred moment. Heaven is not asking how much you've hurt. God is simply asking, are you willing? Are you ready to open your heart now? Because the moment you do, you will feel it, like wind through your soul. Heaven's current, flowing into every breath, every cell, every part of your being. It is not just refreshment. It is new life, a new anointing, a new commissioning. And remember, the greatest transformations never begin with the external. They begin deep within the heart. And when your heart swings open, like a door welcoming the first morning light, that light will rush in, uninvited, but unstoppable. That light will carry with it news from heaven. Not news you search for, but news that is searching for you. It may come through a phone call, or a letter, or an invitation, or perhaps through a person you never imagined, a messenger carrying the key to your next chapter. And don't forget, when the Archangel Michael speaks, he doesn't speak without purpose. Every word from his mouth carries divine intention. Every time he appears in Scripture, it is a sign that heaven's realms are moving. And if today, right now, he is declaring, open this now, then know this. This is no longer the time for hesitation. This is the hour to let go of the old, to rise up, to receive what's been prepared, to step into what's been waiting. And when that sacred letter arrives, when the proclamation from heaven awakens something inside you, when the darkness begins to retreat, stripped of its place, you will suddenly realize all those forgotten days, all those silent seasons were never forgotten at all. They were divine preparation for this moment. And then comes the moment you finally step into the light, not with pride, but with steady, unwavering peace, not to prove anything, not to compete, but to fulfill a divine purpose. You are not stepping forward to be admired. You are stepping forward so God can be revealed through your life. Be ready. Be watchful. Because you are no longer the one forgotten in the shadows. You are now the one being brought into the light. And all of heaven, every angel, every witness, is rising to honor the moment when your name is called aloud, not by human voices, but by the voice of God Himself. Not because someone on this earth decided you were worthy, but because heaven chose you before the beginning of time, before your first breath, before the world knew your name. God has never spoken in vain. When He speaks, both heaven and earth respond. And when He says the time is now, no power above or below can delay what's coming. And right now, He is speaking directly to you. This is the moment. This is the door. This is the appointed hour. And He's not saying it just to comfort you or to soothe your weary heart. He's revealing something eternal, that the very door you've prayed for, cried for, waited for, is opening. Right now, no longer locked, no longer hidden, and no longer waiting. So believe, not the kind of belief that just quiets your emotions, but the kind that moves your feet, that opens your hands, that sets your soul in motion. Believe like a farmer who's waded through a long and barren drought, hands open to receive the first precious seeds of rain. Don't resist it. What's coming is not here to overwhelm you. It's here to restore you, to return what life, what pain, what time tried to steal from you. So don't close this chapter prematurely. Don't turn away just as God begins to write a brand new one. Listen closely. Can you feel it? Something is rising in your chest. It feels strange, yet deeply familiar. It's not just emotion. It's confirmation. It's a sacred resonance shaking loose the deepest part of your soul. Every beat of your heart is beginning to sound like a bell, declaring, the promise is not dead. It's alive. It's being resurrected. And it's no longer something far off in the distance. It's coming near. It's real. It's tangible. Unmistakable. The dreams you once thought were buried for good, they're surfacing again, like a mighty rock rising from the depths of the sea. The message your soul has long hungered for, it's finally being sent, not by human lips, not wrapped in pretty words, but by the voice of God Himself. And it's not passing through detours. It's not getting lost in translation. It is coming directly to your sacred address, at the exact moment you're ready, the moment you've waited, endured, obeyed, and matured for. And as the weight of that truth settles in, something else begins to stir just beneath the surface. There was a time when you dreamed of a different life, a life no longer bound by the mistakes and shadows of your past. A life free from the weight of half-hearted relationships and the crushing expectations others placed upon you. A life unconfined by labels that never truly fit. And that life, the one you used to only imagine, is no longer a distant dream. It's here. It's drawing close, stretching out its hand toward you, and it's inviting you now to cross the final threshold. The threshold of fear. Because once you step past fear, you step into promise, into the land prepared for you. A land where glory isn't just a song you sing, it's the air you breathe. The path that once seemed hopelessly blocked, where every step forward felt like pushing against a wall of resistance, rejection, and slammed doors, is now being made clear. God is not just moving the obstacles aside. He's reconstructing the entire road. He is relaying every step, every stone, every brick, and each one is laced with the promises He whispered over your life in the quiet places. So don't be surprised when things begin to move quickly. When what once dragged slowly suddenly accelerates with ease. That's not coincidence. That's not luck. That's heaven at work. Now, pause. Take a breath. Feel the air around you. Can you sense it? There is a divine presence in the very space where you're standing. This is more than peace. This is presence. The presence of angels, dispatched directly from the throne of God, now surrounding you. And they are not here on a visit. They are here on assignment. Their mandate is clear. Deliver the word of the Lord to the right person, in the right place, at the appointed time. That place, right now, is the room you're sitting in. No matter how modest, no matter how quiet. Your four walls have become a contact point between heaven and earth. The atmosphere around you has been saturated, charged with answers you've been waiting for. And these answers? They are no longer tucked away in some unreachable tomorrow. They are here, in the air, in the light, in the invisible stillness moving around you. If you listen closely, you might hear it, the gentle stirring of the heavenly realm. And if you pay attention, you might feel it, the warmth of a word beginning to take shape, approaching, descending, ready to pour itself into your life. And this is not your imagination. This is not fantasy. This is not wishful thinking. This is power. It's not just moving your emotions. It's redefining your reality. This is not a maybe. This is a certainty. And it's not arriving by accident. It's carrying your name, your address, your timeline, your pain, your promise, your purpose. So, my dear child, don't close your heart. Don't let the wounds of your past make you question the miracle that is now arriving. Let yourself tremble, like a string touched by the perfect note. Let yourself be caught up in the new river that's now flowing around you, no longer resisting it, but letting it carry you forward. Let the word from heaven rise and become the melody that guides every decision you make. Because there is no more time to look back, no more space to delay. This, right now, is the appointed hour. This is the moment you were created to fully live. And this door, this one you now face, was crafted specifically for the key you hold in your hand. Something sacred has begun to stir, not in the open, not in the spotlight, but in the hidden places, in the quiet shadows you long thought lifeless. There, where secrets once slept and words were left unspoken, truth is now waking up. Like a silent earthquake trembling beneath the surface, this truth can no longer stay buried. It's rising, cracking through layers of silence, of self-protection, of avoidance. And what it brings into the light will change you forever. You will know, not as a vague intuition or a passing feeling, but as a solid, weighty, undeniable confirmation. You will hear something you thought you'd never hear again. A confession, spoken out loud, rising from the depths of a heart you once trusted, once believed in, then grieved when it turned away. A heart that left you in confusion, in pain, in the quiet ache of unanswered questions. But now, that heart is returning. Not with pride, not with defense, but with deep remorse, with words they never imagined they'd speak, yet can no longer hold back. Words once buried, actions never owned, feelings they once denied. They've become too heavy to carry, and the weight has broken through. They tried to forget. They tried to act strong, cold, distant. But in the long, sleepless nights, when there was no one left to impress, no one to fool, only silence and the presence of God. Their prayers began to change. Where once your name was absent, it started to return, first as a whisper, then as a plea. A name they had spent so long trying to avoid became the only name they could not escape. And tears fell, not the kind that draws sympathy, but the kind cried in solitude, the kind no one else sees, but God does. No one heard, but heaven listened. And now, the confession that was once guarded like a secret has been transformed into a plea, a quiet, aching longing to be forgiven, to be seen again, to touch what was lost, not because of tragedy, but because of fear, pride, and immaturity that once blinded them. They are not coming with explanations. They are not coming with arguments. They come not with polished words or well-prepared reasons. They come with pain, and you'll recognize it, not just by what they say, but by the way their voice breaks. Their words carry no defense, no justification, only the tear-soaked desperation of a soul longing to be redeemed. And you can feel it, can't you? Something inside you is beginning to tremble again, not from fear, but from the weight of what is shifting in the atmosphere around you. There's a stirring, a whisper rising from the spiritual realm. Now is the time. Now is the moment for truth to be revealed. But hear this. It's not about revenge. It's not about reopening old wounds or proving who was right. This is about restoration. But it's restoration with conditions. Conditions born not from punishment, but from truth and humility. For you and for them. If they are willing to humble themselves, if they come with sincerity, then God Himself stands between two souls, gently asking, "Are you willing to forgive?" But He doesn't push you. He doesn't demand. He simply offers the opportunity, placing it before you with tenderness. And then He gives you the authority to decide. Why? Because you're the one who walked through the darkness with unwavering faith. You endured betrayal and heartbreak without retaliating. You chose silence when you could have exposed. You chose softness when the world expected you to turn cold. And because of that, you've been entrusted with something sacred. You have been given authority. Authority to forgive. Authority to open the door again, if you choose, or to leave it closed, if God says it's not yet time. And they will come, not because you asked them to, not because you demanded anything, but because conviction has grown louder in their heart than the voice of their pride. They can no longer pretend, no longer hide from what they know is true. And when they look at you, you'll see it. Not avoidance, but a pleading gaze that says, "Please, let me make this right." God knows you don't need their words to be whole. He has already healed you. But because you have been healed, your very presence now carries power. Your presence becomes a bridge, a sacred vessel of restoration. And no, you don't have to sacrifice yourself to do this. You don't have to surrender your boundaries. But if you choose to respond, with love, with wisdom, this very moment will become a miracle, not just for you, not just for them, but for those silently watching from afar, wondering if redemption is even real. And do you know something sacred? Heaven is watching too. This is the place where grace and justice meet, where truth doesn't come to shame, but to liberate, where a new journey begins, one deeper, purer, and filled with light. You are not just someone who has received forgiveness. You are now being positioned to give it, to become the one who administers mercy. And that is a role of great honor. You may choose to open your arms, or you may choose silence, waiting for the voice of God to guide you further. Whatever you choose, whether to reach out or to wait, know this: God will still love you. His love is not conditional, but if you choose the higher path, the path of forgiveness not born from emotion, but from surrender to God, then no one will be able to deny it. They will look at you and say, "That one has been touched by heaven." So listen, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. Can you sense it? A knock is approaching, quiet, yet unmistakable. A confession is being rewritten, not in pride, but in repentance. A new beginning is making its way back to you, wrapped in humility, carried on trembling footsteps. And here's the miracle: you don't have to chase it. You don't have to search for it. It's coming to you. This is not just a fleeting moment on the timeline of your life. It is a divine appointment, set in eternity by the hand of the Almighty. A day written in heaven's calendar. A day when angels are released from their posts to carry out sacred assignments. A day when both heaven and earth hold their breath to witness something that may seem quiet, but is weighty beyond words. Because in that moment, clarity, true clarity, will be released directly into your spirit. Not human understanding, not comforting cliches, but piercing light. Light that cuts through the layers of pain, confusion, and time. God is giving you something holy, not wrapped in applause, not delivered with spectacle, but clothed in your years of quiet endurance, in your faith when no one was watching, in your tears when no one was listening. This gift isn't coming just to inform you. It's coming to heal you. So open your heart fully, not to people, but to truth. Because what you once longed for, the thing your soul whispered for in the dark, it was never lost. It was never forgotten. It has been circling, waiting, returning. And now, at the appointed time, it arrives. A holy letter has been sent, not written in ink, but written in tears, tears of repentance, of surrender, tears cried in the secret places where healing begins. There are no justifications inside, no rehearsed excuses, only truth. And that truth is not coming to pressure you. It's coming to shift you, to gently change the way you've seen everything, through the power of love, not demand. Because that truth, once hidden, once locked away and silenced, is now rising. It cannot be held back any longer. It's bursting out from the very place where it was once buried. And there's someone, perhaps the very person you believed was long gone, now standing at the edge of surrender. They've looked deep into their own soul and realized they've been carrying something that was never truly theirs to hold. You see, when someone carries a piece of your soul, a sacred piece, you can feel it when they finally begin to return it. In the last moment we spoke of, they had come to realize they've been holding something that was never theirs to keep. Not a possession, but a fragment of your spirit. Something you once entrusted in vulnerability, then felt betrayed, wounded, and left to suffer in silence. And now, they can no longer carry it. They can no longer pretend it never happened. The burden of unfinished truth has grown too heavy to ignore. Whether they return with words, an apology, a late confession, or with nothing more than eyes filled with unspoken sorrow, you will recognize one undeniable thing. They are not the same person who once made you weep. Something has shifted. Something has awakened deep inside them, not on the surface, but at the very core of their soul. This isn't the result of guilt or regret. It's not human remorse. It's divine grace. Not punishment, but holy transformation. They are not returning because shame drove them back. They are returning because the voice of heaven has called them by name, and they could no longer outrun it. Maybe it came in the stillness of night. Maybe it came through a dream, where your face became the mirror of truth they could no longer avoid. Or maybe it was your silence, that holy, wordless silence that began to cry louder in their heart than any spoken word. So loud, in fact, that it robbed them of peace, because part of their soul remained fractured, unresolved, incomplete. And now, stirred by something sacred, they are stepping out of the shadows where they once locked themselves in. Not to reclaim anything, not to rewrite history, but to return, to restore, to bow before what is true. And when you stand face to face, you won't see the person who broke you. You'll see someone reborn, not because they tried harder, but because grace reshaped them. But this isn't a demand. No one is asking you to forgive too quickly. No one is asking you to open the door before you're ready. If the wound is still fresh, you're allowed to wait. You're allowed to heal at your pace. Still, you will sense it. God is working in the space between you, doing something supernatural, restoring what was lost, yes, but also refining, filtering out what no longer belongs in this new season. And you, beloved, have every right to draw boundaries. You have full authority to choose how you will move forward. But if you choose to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because God forgave you first, then you will witness something sacred. The way forgiveness liberates your soul in ways nothing else can. Because no one truly knows what you've walked through, except God. No one fully sees the depth of the pain, except the one who was with you through every tear. And precisely because he knows, he's not only sending you clarity, he's extending something more, an invitation to step into a divine transition, a new program of the soul, one where you're no longer defined by what broke you, but refined by the wisdom that was forged through it. You see, you are no longer just a survivor. You are a storyteller now, no longer the wounded one, but the one who carries healing in their hands. The clarity being offered to you in this sacred moment, it's not here to lecture you about others or remind you of what happened. No, it's here to lift you, to affirm the strength in your spirit, to cleanse your heart from every lingering echo of what once hurt you. And in this new light, this fresh, divine illumination, you will begin to see with a clarity you've never known. You've grown, you've matured, you've healed, to the point where you no longer need an apology to feel whole. Your worth doesn't hinge on whether someone says, "I'm sorry." But if an apology does come, and you sense that it's genuine, born of true humility, know this too. You have been divinely entrusted with a holy role. You now hold the key to restoration, not just for yourself, but for the one who once fractured your heart. That key is sacred, and it's in your hands. And whether you open that door right away, or whether you need more time to heal, to wait on God's peace, either way, rest in this unshakable truth. Your soul has already stepped into a new season, a season where you are no longer imprisoned by the past, no longer spinning in the same old emotional cycles, no longer living under the influence of other people's choices. This is a season of holy discernment, one where your heart is no longer pulled by flattery or shaken by rejection. In this season, you are led not by human opinion, but by the gentle, unwavering guidance of the Holy Spirit. And as He leads you into this realm of light, something begins to happen. Every falsehood begins to crumble. Every hidden motive is revealed. Every whispered truth that was buried deep is now being brought into the open, to the root. But God isn't just giving you eyes to see others clearly. He's opening your heart to see yourself. He's revealing the barren places in your soul and watering them again. He's tending to old wounds and gently covering them with new skin. Skin that is soft, but stronger than ever. You no longer need to prove your worth, because true light doesn't shout to be seen. It only needs to be lit. And you, beloved, you are that light. The one who chose silence instead of retaliation. The one who prayed instead of lashing out. The one who sowed kindness while your own heart was breaking. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to change your appearance. You don't need to chase attention. Just be, in the quiet strength God has cultivated in you through every trial. People will notice, not because you tried to be seen, but because your presence radiates stability. They will remember you, not as the one who was broken, but as the one who endured deep pain and never lost their goodness. And that silence you once carried, it will echo louder than any defense ever could. The prayers you once whispered in the quiet hours of the night, the ones you thought vanished into silence, have not been forgotten. They've become the very walls that now shield you, the rivers that carry you, the foundations beneath your feet that no storm can shake. And now, you're about to step into a season of radiance, not because the circumstances around you have shifted, but because you've been refined. And remember this, God never wastes the tears of the righteous, not a single one. Every tear you swallowed when no one was watching, every moment you chose restraint over retaliation, every time you gave kindness when your soul had nothing left to give, each one was a sacred seed planted deep in the soil of your faith. And now, the harvest season has come. The fields are full, the grain is heavy, and it's ready to be poured, not just into your hands, but through your hands. Not so that you may boast, but so that you may become a wellspring, a source of provision for the weary, for the soul hungry, for those quietly longing for hope. This is the moment God lifts you up, not because you begged for it, but because He sees. Your heart is ready. You were tested in fire, and you didn't burn. You were struck by winds, and you didn't fall. Now He will allow the world to see you, not as a victim of pain, but as a vessel of restoration, a carrier of healing. The very wounds that once broke you have now been healed, and those same wounds will become oil, a healing balm for those still searching for peace. And yes, some who once hurt you may come back, but they no longer carry the power to define who you are. They may ask for forgiveness, and if you choose to offer it, it won't come from weakness. It will come from strength, from the position of one whom God Himself has lifted. And whether you open the door wide or keep a respectful distance, you are no longer reacting. You are responding from a place of true freedom, not freedom given by people, but freedom you chose when you said yes to heaven's call. So don't let your soul remain chained by bitterness. Let this new season be your testimony, a declaration that heaven does not forget, that no prayer ever goes unheard, that not a single act of quiet faithfulness is ever overlooked. There is a kind of power that doesn't need microphones or stages. It's born in secret places, in the moments where you knelt with trembling knees and no words left. And the God who saw you there is now publicly confirming you. Every great light begins with a single flame, and now you are that flame, burning with unconditional love, sustained by unwavering faith, spreading the wisdom that was forged in fire. And people, they won't come just to hear your words. They'll come to feel your peace, to draw from what you carry, not just in your voice, but in your gaze, in your posture, in your presence. And just as this new light begins to spread, something even deeper is waiting to be revealed. Because now, you walk differently. You walk as one who has seen heaven, even while standing in the midst of hell. And still, you chose forgiveness. You chose mercy. And because of that, God is preparing your heart for something greater. A wider expansion, a broader influence, a deeper calling. Not because you asked for it, not because you earned it, but because heaven ordained it, long before you even understood what pain was. This is the season when others will finally begin to see what you've always carried inside. A greatness that was never tied to outward appearance or status, but rooted in the quiet depths of your spirit. And you will lead, not through slogans or noise, but through the gentle force of a healing presence. So keep walking, hold your head high, because you are now living in the very days that heaven has long awaited for you. And nothing from your past was wasted. Every tear, every trial, every long night that felt forgotten, all of it was used. All of it prepared you for this moment. The moment when the light within you is no longer muted by the shadows, when your voice is no longer trapped by fear, and when the love you carry is no longer chained by those who once wounded you. Now, God, the one who sees what hides in the shadows, who hears what no one else hears, is lifting the veil. He's deliberately unveiling what has been hidden from your eyes for far too long. But not to scare you, not to shame anyone. No, He is restoring truth. He is breaking open the invisible cage that has kept you confined, restricted, small. The lies that once built themselves like walls around your mind. He's tearing them down, the masks worn by those you trusted, the subtle plans meant to shrink your worth. One by one, layer by layer, they're being pulled away. Like curtains parting on a stage, light is breaking through, shining into every corner that darkness once ruled. This is not exposure meant to punish. This is liberation. Because truth doesn't come to condemn the innocent. It comes to set free the ones who've been bound by lies they never created. And God, He's not just helping you see clearly. He's unlocking something deeper. He's opening the door of your soul, so you can step out of what held you back, out of what silenced you, out of everything that doesn't reflect who He created you to be. This freedom doesn't come from striving. It doesn't come from pushing. It comes through light. And just as this light begins to pour in, you'll start to realize something holy is awakening even deeper still. And when the light comes, darkness doesn't get to negotiate. It doesn't get a voice. It must go. When truth is revealed, all forms of manipulation lose their grip. Their hold shatters. You don't need to fight for your name anymore. You don't need to explain yourself or prove your worth. Because truth, divine truth, will rise and speak on your behalf. And when it does, every accusation, every whisper, every attempt to push you into obscurity will be washed away by a proclamation that comes not from man, but from heaven itself. This is your season of freedom, not the shallow freedom the world sells, the kind that says you can do whatever you want, or speak without consequence. No, this is something sacred. This is soul-deep freedom, the kind that allows you to walk in alignment with the name heaven gave you before the beginning of time. The kind that breaks you free from roles others forced upon you and brings you into the fullness of your identity, crafted by God Himself. And you'll begin to feel it. Every chain, every lie, every mental weight falling off your mind. The voices that used to echo inside you. You're not enough. You're unworthy. You're a mistake. Those voices are being silenced now, silenced by a voice far more powerful, a voice purer, stronger, more true, the voice of the Lord your God, and He calls you chosen one, beloved, sent with a sacred purpose. But He's not just exposing what was evil and hidden. He's restoring what was beautiful and broken. The dreams you gave up on, the visions you buried, thinking they'd never come alive. God is picking them up, wiping off the dust, placing them gently back into your hands. But this time, you'll carry them differently. This time, you won't hesitate in fear. You'll move forward, not in anxiety, but in the courage that only truth can build. You'll begin to speak the things you once buried deep within, but you won't speak with resentment. You'll speak with calm, steady authority, the voice of someone who has walked through storms and survived, not just for yourself, but for others. Because now your freedom is not yours alone. It is a signal, a holy spark meant to spread. Because when even one soul is delivered from a web of lies, they become a flame, a voice, a light that touches an entire generation still wrapped in darkness. God doesn't just want to free you. He wants to use you to bring freedom to many, to those carrying burdens they were never meant to bear, to those silently suffocating beneath the weight of lies they didn't choose. And you, yes you, will be the sound that rings out like a bell in the morning stillness. You'll be the flicker of light that pierces the night. You'll be the sign that the dawn is finally breaking. But this is why you had to walk through it, through the long, uncertain seasons, through the unanswered questions and shadowed paths. Because light, strong enough to guide others, must first be forged in the darkest places. And you, beloved, you have walked through them. You have endured enough. And yet, what comes next may be the most sacred part of all. Now, it is time for you to rise, not just as a survivor, but as a flame bearer, one who carries light so pure that falsehood cannot stay in the room with you. You don't need to say much. Your presence alone shifts the atmosphere. You walk in, and lies begin to dissolve. Without raising your voice, without defending your past, because the truth walks beside you. Because heaven has already spoken on your behalf. God is not just clearing away the lies. He is clothing you now with a new robe, a robe of authority, a robe of identity, a robe worn by one who has been affirmed by heaven itself. And as you walk in that truth, you'll find you no longer need to argue over who was right or wrong. Your life will be the testimony. The change within you will be the proof, and the goodness now blossoming through you, undeniable. So do not fear when truth starts rising to the surface. And don't be discouraged when others feel uncomfortable in the presence of the light you carry. Because what is true will remain true, no matter how long it's been hidden. And that truth, it's now standing with you. God is standing with you. And all of heaven is backing your every step as you walk away from what no longer belongs. Stretch out your wings, the ones you forgot were yours. Walk forward, past the walls that once confined you, past the voices that once told you to shrink. This is your season to live with eyes wide open, with a heart that no longer retreats, with footsteps anchored in the truth that you belong to the light. You are called by a name higher than any other name. You are not walking blindly. You are being led by a divine plan no force can stop. And even when you doubted your own worth, heaven never stopped whispering it. The angels were already saying your name, in the sacred places where no lie can reach. In the presence of God, your name was never mentioned with shame, but with reverence, with awe. Because while the world kept moving, you stayed faithful. When surrender looked easier, you dropped to your knees instead. When your prayers felt like they disappeared into silence, you didn't walk away. You held on, and heaven saw it. The angels, they don't celebrate greatness the way people do. They sing over faithfulness. They marvel at a soul that believes even when nothing makes sense. And your name has become a song in heaven, a song that's been echoing, stirring the heart of the Creator, not because you were flawless, but because you didn't quit. Not because you never stumbled, but because you got back up. And now, that moment the heavens long whispered about, that moment you felt pressing against your soul, is drawing near. The answer you've waited for is already at your door. Though it may not look the way you imagined, it's here, and it's real, and it's holy. It won't come with thunder. There won't be flashes of light or the roar of a public miracle. No loud announcement, no dramatic arrival. Instead, it will come quietly, humbly, wrapped in mystery, disguised in the ordinary. So simple, you might overlook it if you're not paying attention. It might be a letter, with no clear sender, a message that feels casual at first. It might be a soft conversation that leaves your heart trembling, a dream that wakes you in the middle of the night without explanation. Or maybe just a passing comment from a stranger you've never seen before. Yet somehow, their words pierce straight to the center of your soul. Be alert, be awake. Don't dismiss what looks too simple. Because heaven often hides its greatest wonders in the most unassuming things. The key you've been searching for, it isn't gold. It isn't covered in jewels. It has been forged in obedience, refined in the fire of waiting, and it's handed to you now, in holy silence. This key doesn't come to draw attention. It comes to unlock, to open the doors that long seasons of waiting had sealed shut. Doors your size could not open. But now, trust what you see, even when it's wrapped in the ordinary, because the extraordinary often hides there. God is not just the God of parting seas or fire from heaven. He's also the God of quiet mornings, the God of unread journals, the God of small moments you thought didn't matter. And this key, it's not just for one door. It will begin to unravel delays you thought were permanent. It will breathe life into old dreams that were quietly shelved. It will bring clarity to questions you thought would never be answered. Because when heaven sends a key, it doesn't just open a door. It opens destiny. And you'll know, not by logic, not because someone told you, but by that deep inner sensing, a whisper from eternity that echoes through your soul. It will say, "This is the moment." No one will need to confirm it for you. Your spirit will recognize it. You'll feel peace, peace that defies logic. You'll feel a trembling in your bones, a stretching in your inner sight. And when that moment comes, don't hesitate. Don't doubt. Don't respond with delay. Don't do as Moses did, asking 3 times, "Is it really you, Lord?" Step forward. Take hold. Open it. Because what's coming isn't just an answer for you. It's an answer for your entire lineage. For the grandmother who once knelt in the dark, whispering your name in desperation. For the silent prayers of a father who's already passed on. For the sighs of children who never got the chance to voice what their hearts longed for. You are not just receiving something personal. You are holding a generational response from heaven. And what that means for your story is just beginning to unfold. You are not just opening a door for yourself. You are opening a path for those who come after you, a way into things they never imagined possible. And that is why your past humility, your hidden surrender, has now become a crown upon your head. Heaven saw it. And now, the honor comes not from applause, but from divine recognition. Because when that key touches your hand, a movement begins, not just around you, but deep within the spirit realm. What was once stuck will start to flow. What was once blurry will come into focus. And the places you thought were dead ends will become open highways of restoration. Broken relationships, those you long ago grieved, will begin to heal. But not because you tried to fix them. They will heal because heaven has decreed it. Because a command has been issued from above. And you, the one who endured in silence, the one who prayed when no one knew, the one who was misunderstood because your kindness ran too deep for the world to grasp, you will rise, not as someone forgotten, but as someone called, as someone chosen, as someone affirmed. Your name, once whispered in the songs of angels because of your perseverance, will now begin to echo in the hearts of people as a symbol of resurrection, of spiritual courage, of light that cannot be put out, even in the darkest places. You won't need to strive to be seen. You won't have to chase recognition. Your life will speak. Your presence will declare. The way you embrace sacred things, even in the most ordinary moments, will become the loudest proclamation. And no one, no matter their doubt or resistance, will be able to deny. The Lord has been with you. This moment you're standing in, it's not fleeting. It's not just another passing hour in the timeline of your life. It is the beginning of something sacred, a ripple effect, like dominoes that have been divinely arranged from the beginning of time, waiting for God's touch to set them into motion. This is the domino effect of heaven, a wave of disruption, not to destroy, but to reshape, to reconfigure the very atmosphere around you. What's about to unfold won't just skim the surface. It will reach deep into the foundation of your life. Like an unseen hand opening drawers you locked long ago, thinking they held nothing worth keeping. But now, those drawers are being opened not to bring back pain, but to restore what you thought was lost forever. Because God doesn't let a single moment, not one memory, slip away without purpose. He moves softly, but powerfully, entering the very places you thought he'd forgotten, retrieving broken pieces, lifting abandoned dreams, uncovering promises written in tears, then buried in silence. And through this divine movement, he's showing you, nothing has been random. Every detail has been intentional. Every delay, every detour, every heartbreak, marked by holy design. And what's next carries the same weight of destiny. The very things that once confused you, the tragedies that felt like they shattered your life beyond repair, God is now gathering every broken piece, not to hide them, but to reveal something greater. He is assembling it all into a living masterpiece. Each fragment, each moment, finding its perfect place in the whole. You will witness it, not someday, but now. How God used every disruption not to derail your path, but to rearrange it. For the unveiling He always planned. The unveiling He never once forgot. And it's not only doors that are being opened. Names, yes, names, that were once stained, twisted, and spoken with dishonor, are now being rewritten with the ink of righteousness. God is not just restoring your position. He is restoring your worth. He's not patching up your image. He's redeeming your identity. Your name and the names of your loved ones, those who were wounded by slander, will no longer be spoken in pity. They will be remembered as testimonies to heaven's glory. The atmosphere around you, it's changing. The vibrations once polluted by hidden whispers, venomous words, distorted judgments, they are now being purified by the breath of the Holy Spirit. All that should have never been spoken, the hasty judgments, the idle gossip, the crushing rejections, it's all being swept away, like ashes in a windstorm of truth. And in their place, peace is descending. Like a gentle mist, it's covering your soul, saturating your breath, your thoughts, the very spaces you once feared were contaminated. This cleansing does not come through force. It comes through light. And when light enters, anything not of God must retreat. You, who once walked through fields of confusion, surrounded by thick doubt, you are now being called to stand, upright, secure, radiant. No shame, no fear of being misjudged, no need to explain yourself anymore, because your confirmation has not come from man. It has come from heaven. And when heaven confirms, earth doesn't need to agree. This shift you're experiencing, it's not just personal. It will ripple outward like a divine wave, starting from your heart, flowing into your family, your community, even into the very land where your feet walk. No more fog, no more blurry vision. Now, everything will be made new, clear, radiant, and sealed with a wisdom that only heaven can provide. And when you look back, you'll know it was not your striving, not the change in others, but the appointed time that came. The moment when heaven decided, now, justice will be released. And you waited, you endured, you walked through fire, but you were not consumed. Now heaven is speaking to the realm of the Spirit and declaring, enough. Return what belongs to my child. Prepare your heart, because the door you're about to walk through doesn't lead to just another room. It leads to a new mantle, a new calling, a level of influence you once didn't dare to imagine, but God always intended for you to carry. Every step you take from here won't just be movement. It will be prophetic. Every word you speak will carry the echo of life. Every act, no matter how simple, will become a signpost for those still wandering the labyrinth of brokenness, searching for a way out. And you won't walk alone. Angels have already been commissioned to accompany you, and strangers, divinely appointed, will appear just when you need them to assist you on your journey. Doors that once resisted you will begin to unlock simply as you approach. You will no longer need to ask for permission to enter the places that were once sealed shut, because God has already placed the key in your hand. Not because you were flawless, but because He saw your faithfulness in the secret place, He saw your surrender when no one else did. This is not the time to look back. This is the moment to step forward. Don't ask, why didn't it come sooner? Trust instead that it's arriving at the perfect hour, not only to transform you, but to awaken those who have been watching your life, silently hoping for a sign. You are not just the recipient of the promise. You are the living proof of it. And now, you are stepping forward. Not quietly, not hidden anymore, but with the public confirmation of heaven behind you. Because there were moments when darkness tried to devour everything. You remember them. Those days when each breath felt like carrying the weight of the sky. When prayers felt like whispers swallowed by the void. When you stood at the edge of despair, wondering if hope was just a myth. And in those moments, the enemy of your soul, the one who still prowls the unseen realm, believed he had you. He didn't want to just break you. He wanted your voice silenced forever, not through death, but through a quiet extinction within your soul, where the song dies, where belief stops breathing, where the sacred fire flickers until it's gone cold. It wasn't just people around you who doubted. It was the darkness itself, calculating, venomous, that tried to convince you it was all over, that you'd lose your name, lose your direction, lose the very calling that God gave you before you were even formed in your mother's womb. The enemy knew something that even you sometimes forgot, that if you held on to your faith, the day would come when you would rise. And when that day came, his entire plan would fall apart. So he threw everything at you: wounds, betrayal, delay, isolation, confusion, exhaustion that crushed your mind and spirit, all to convince you that you were wrong all along, that help would never come, that even God had forgotten you. But what he forgot is the most powerful thing of all. And just before that truth breaks open, there's a holy pause in heaven. Let's lean in together. The one who chose you never sleeps. He has never broken a promise, and he has never let a faithful child fall without lifting them again, in glory. Even when you couldn't see it, even when you didn't feel it, there were moments when your soul was dangerously close to that thin edge, between survival and fading away. Nights when the silence in the spiritual realm was so thick, it felt like a wall made of iron, cold, heavy, unmovable. And yet right there, right when you thought, I can't take one more step, something happened. Something your eyes didn't see, but all of heaven witnessed. Heaven spoke. There was no thunder, no spotlight, just one sentence. But it echoed through eternity like a command of fire. Not permitted. And with those two words, every scheme of the enemy collapsed like smoke. Every plan to take you out, canceled. He said no to your collapse. No to endless despair. No to a silent ending. And in that holy moment, unseen but eternal, God sealed something. He decreed, you will live, not just exist, not just survive, but live, to step into the very purpose for which you were created since the beginning. Every step you took when no one was watching, every tear that fell without a hand to wipe it, every prayer that echoed without reply, they became something more, a song, a praise that rose through the heavens. And that sound, it brought shame to the enemy, because he never understood the power of a soul surrendered. He never imagined that your silence was a divine strategy, that your refusal to retaliate was the mark of royal dignity rising quietly. You didn't have to fight. You just had to remain faithful. And that faithfulness, It shattered chains in the spirit realm that you didn't even know were holding you, just when the enemy thought you had faded into silence. That was the moment heaven began your promotion. There was no thunder, no shaking earth, but in the unseen world, a crown was placed upon your head. A command was issued: restore what was stolen. And everything that once seemed lost began returning. You may think this is just a new beginning, but no, this is a continuation of the journey God Himself preserved. Until the perfect hour. And now that hour has come, and what lies ahead carries the unmistakable weight of heaven's hand still guiding you forward. The life within you, it was never extinguished. It was protected. That flame in your heart, it didn't go out. It was shielded through the fiercest storms, kept burning in secret, so that today, it could ignite again with an unstoppable fire. You are no longer just someone who was tested. You are someone who has overcome, not to boast, but to bear witness, not to proclaim your strength, but to point to the one, the only one, who held you together when everything else fell apart. And now, that same faithful God is calling you to step forward, out of hiding, out of the gray shadows of the past, with steady feet, with clear eyes, with a heart that has been healed, and a calling louder than ever before. Look back, but not to mourn. Look back only to honor the Lord, for every crack in your journey was a place where light broke through. Every fall, it was the clearing of soil to plant new seeds. And now, the harvest has come. No one can stop the downpour of blessings that are now being released over your life. Listen closely, my child. You have never been out of God's sight. You are not an unfinished story. You are a divine blueprint, meticulously written, guarded by angelic hosts, and confirmed by the Holy Spirit Himself. And today, right now, you are not stepping out just to survive. You are stepping out to lead, not only to be healed, but to become a stream of healing for others. Not just to continue, but to make a way. This is the sacred time, the moment to break free from the shell that shielded you through the long years of testing. It's time for your heart to move beyond just endurance, to open wide, to receive new life. Not a life born from striving, but one birthed in full surrender. You've kept your heart closed long enough, locked tight to protect what felt too fragile. But now, God is drawing near, and He's speaking gently. My child, open your heart. Not so that someone may enter, but so that light may break through. So that the Holy Spirit will no longer be confined by the walls you built to defend against past pain. So that the Father's love may no longer wait outside your door, but pour into every hidden place inside your soul. Even the places you've never dared to let anyone touch. And when your heart is opened the right way, it won't be wounded again. It will become a dwelling place for the divine, a holy sanctuary where tears no longer speak of weakness, but of healing. Your ears, once filled with the noise of the world, must now grow sensitive to heaven's gentle signals. For not everything the Lord desires to say comes in thunder. Sometimes His greatest messages arrive in a whisper. Often what God desires to say isn't wrapped in loud declarations. It doesn't ride in on thunder or blaze through the sky. Instead, it arrives in the pauses, in the quiet gaps between silence. He's writing prophecies meant only for you, not on paper, but on the stone walls of your soul. There, no lie can enter. There, truth stands without the need for human validation. The sacred message isn't always in the words. Sometimes it's hidden in the white spaces, woven into the stillness between two breaths, carried between the lines. So when you pause mid-thought and something trembles quietly in your chest, that's not just a fleeting emotion. That's the Spirit of God, resting on you like morning dew on a quiet meadow. Gentle, but saturating. Subtle, but unshakably powerful. That breath doesn't come only to soothe. It comes to transform. Not from the outside in, but from the deep, hidden places. The depths where you've stored the unspoken pain. The burdens that no one ever saw. And when you allow yourself to sit quietly in obscurity, when there's nothing left to prove, no spotlight to chase, no words to justify yourself, that's when God does His greatest work. Not through force, but through tenderness. Not through a storm, but through stillness. The kind of stillness that mirrors the rhythm of heaven. Let that stillness lift the layers you've carried like they were your identity. Let it touch the scars you assumed would always be there. Let the unsaid finally say what years of explanations never could. Because some wounds, they aren't healed by reason. They're healed by presence. And that presence is here now, wrapping around you like a weightless cloak, soaked in sacredness. So, sit down, my child. You don't need to rush. You don't need to speak too soon. You don't need to strive to prove your worth. You've already passed through fire, through water, and through barren lands. Now is the time to rest. Beside the stream of grace, drink deeply, be revived, be restored. Not by your own strength, but by the nourishment that flows straight from heaven. You don't have to understand it all. Just let your heart soften, because in that softness, a new kind of strength will begin to rise. A strength not born from struggle, but from surrender. And from that surrendered place, you will begin, finally, to see yourself more clearly than ever before. You've walked through silence, not as someone abandoned, but as someone wrapped in the quiet glory of the Creator. And in that stillness, something soft begins to stir, a whisper that says, I've always been here. Because nothing rushed ever lasts, and what God is leading you into must begin from this sacred calm, where stillness lays the foundation. This is where openness becomes your path forward, where trust is rebuilt, one solid stone at a time, laid by unshakable faith. Every true beginning in the kingdom of heaven starts in silence, because only in silence can you clearly separate God's voice from the noise. Only in silence can you see yourself, not through the distortion of public opinion, but through the radiant lens of the Lord's truth. So don't fear the quiet. It's not empty. It's a sacred chamber, crafted by God Himself, for a personal encounter with you. Linger there. Let peace flow in slowly, like warm, fragrant oil poured gently over your soul. Let the final veil between you and heaven lift, not by effort, but by trust. Because right after this silence comes your commissioning. After this healing comes your release. After this surrender comes clarity. And you will rise from that stillness with steady hands, with eyes that see beyond the surface, and with a heart ready to carry more. The news that's about to reach your door, this is not just another alert or casual message. It will not come scrolling across your screen, nor drift by like background noise. It's a message prepared in heaven's depths, sealed by the tears of your quiet prayers, carried by the breath of angels, waiting for the exact moment it's meant to arrive. And when it does, you won't just hear it, you'll feel it deeply, in your chest, in your spirit, in that place only God can reach. Because this isn't an event, it's an intervention, a holy reshaping of the very path beneath your feet. Don't try to figure it out. Don't analyze. Just yield. For this will not let you continue down the old familiar ways. It will not follow the same worn-out maps you once used to find direction. No, this will interrupt your plans, not to ruin them, but to place you on God's true course. You may have thought you were at the end, but what if this, right now, is the beginning? A beginning so divine, so unlike anything you've ever known, that one day you'll look back at this very moment, not with regret, but with reverence, not with sorrow, but with awe and with wonder. And as you pause to look back with new eyes, you'll begin to see what once felt random now reveals itself as a divine sequence. Step by step, it was all orchestrated by the Creator's own hand. Every tear you cried in secret, it wasn't wasted. They were sacred petitions, silently delivered to heaven. And now, finally, they are being answered. Not with vague reassurance, but with clear direction. A turning point has arrived. One that doesn't just shift your path, but carries ripple effects into the hearts of those spiritually tied to you. This word isn't born from confusion or uncertainty. It comes straight from the heart of mercy, from the place where truth is forged in fire, and love has been refined to its purest, most radiant form. What you're hearing now is the ringing of a heavenly bell, not to frighten you, but to awaken you. It calls your soul to rise, to peel away the last layers of fear, to snap every chain of doubt that once tried to bind your purpose, and to stand fully in the light that God is shining over your life. Don't close your heart again. Don't let old wounds pull you back into questioning the beauty of the light breaking through. You've let pain lead the conversation for far too long. Too many times you paused, you hesitated, you even turned back. Not because the calling was unclear, but because fear whispered, "What if I'm wrong?" But this time, this moment, is not like before. This time, the call doesn't whisper. It thunders. Like spring storms cracking open a frozen sky, it melts the long winter inside your soul. This is not you saying, "Lord, is it really you?" This is you rising up and declaring, "Even if I don't see it all, I will still walk." Because you are stronger now, not because life spared you, but because your wounds became the soil where faith grew. You didn't give up. You didn't fold under the pressure of unanswered prayers. Every time you nearly broke, an unseen hand steadied you. And it was in those hidden hours, in the weeping, the silence, the steady choosing to trust again and again, that heaven wrote your name in the scroll of silent warriors. And now, the appointed time is here. The call is no longer gentle. It comes with authority. It is not a suggestion. It is a divine command. Not everyone hears it, but you do. Not because you are better, but because your heart has been readied. Every season of abandonment, every misunderstood silence, every unspoken ache, none of it broke you. All of it forged you. You are now a vessel carrying holy responsibility. And the key being placed in your hands? It wasn't crafted to reopen doors from your past, the places that once brought you low. No, this key is made for something new, something sacred, a realm where you will no longer beg to be seen, no longer plead to be heard. And from here, something is already stirring. And as that key touches your hand, remember, Your name has already been sealed by the hand of God Himself. What's coming is not a reward for perfection. It is the harvest of quiet obedience, the fruit of unseen faithfulness, planted in seasons where no one else was watching. This is the promise, not newly given, but resurrected after what felt like burial. The seed you thought had withered in the dark. It had been growing roots all along, roots deep enough to carry the weight of what now begins to rise. This is the moment it blossoms, and when it bears fruit, nothing and no one will be able to take credit. No voice will be able to say, "Man made this happen," for what is about to unfold will carry the unmistakable signature of heaven. So don't underestimate where you stand. Don't call this just another change or another phase. This is a divine pivot, a holy realignment, a kingdom shift echoing through the spiritual realm. This is the moment when every silent enemy who doubted you, who dismissed you, will have no choice but to witness the banquet that God is preparing in your honor. And as heaven sets that table before them, a voice will rise. This one I have chosen. This one my spirit rests upon. This one will no longer remain hidden. And you will not walk alone. The very angels that once stood beside you in silence while you wept in darkness, they now walk with you into the light. And people will ask, how do they carry such strength? But they will never fully know, because your strength was never your own. It came from the one who carried you when your knees buckled, who held your soul together when the world thought you had fallen apart. And what is about to happen next? It will bring you to your knees, but not in fear. You will cry, but not from sorrow. This time, the tears will stream from the overwhelming awe that God was never absent, not even once. You'll begin to see that every faltering step, every sleepless night, every ache that once felt pointless was only setting the stage for glory. Now, after a long season of shadowed trials, you've kept your flame alive. You chose light, not once, but again and again, every time darkness whispered your name. You didn't walk away from truth, even when truth cost you dearly. Even when it meant being misunderstood, isolated, or heartbroken, you held on. And even when your faith trembled, like a thread stretched thin over despair, you still believed. That choice, that fragile, faithful yes, became a divine mark carved deep into your soul. And that mark, heaven never ignores it. You know it. You've sensed it. For so long, something felt delayed. But now, the shift has begun. You felt the shift, didn't you? As if something long awaited had finally stirred, only to pause again. A door once promised to open seemed to close in quiet stillness. A word once declared echoed into years of waiting with no sign of fulfillment. You once held that dream in your hands, so close you believed a whisper might bring it to life. And then it slipped away, not taken, not rejected, just deferred. And in that space of delay rose a question too tender to say aloud. Lord, have you forgotten me? But now, after all you've endured, clarity begins to dawn. The delay was never punishment. It was deep soil, a hidden place where God planted the seed of your destiny, not to bury it, but to nourish it. Not to hide it from you, but to protect it from eyes not yet ready to witness the glory that would bloom. Because some things, if they arrive too early, become burdens, not blessings. Some promises, if fulfilled too soon, can weigh more like judgment than joy. And you had to face the hardest, most honest truth of all. You were not ready. But now you understand. You are no longer the same. You are no longer the restless child pleading for change while resisting the change within. You are no longer the anxious heart chasing breakthrough, still chained to fear and craving the applause of others. You've learned to wait and not grow bitter. You've learned to be silent and still remain full of hope. You've learned to stand, not because you were strong, but because you trusted one single word. I am still here. That word held you, and through it, you were transformed, not by time itself, but by the quiet, constant nearness of God in every breath. Now your posture is different. You used to bow your head in uncertainty. Today, you lift your face with quiet confidence. You once trembled before each step. Now you stand steady. You used to move forward asking for permission, but now you walk with the dignity of one who has been invited. Not because you are flawless, but because you've matured. You've come to see this calling is not earned by merit. It is entrusted to hearts willing to yield. You are like a diamond, not shaped by ease, but by darkness and pressure. And now, under the light, you do not break, you shine. What comes next is not a reward for enduring the past. It is a divine assignment, an invitation into your future. And that future is drawing near. You've been made ready for this, because the future ahead will not be walked alone. Every step you take from here is no longer just movement. It is a release of freedom into places that have long waited, dry, desperate, aching, for someone to arrive carrying fire. And yes, good news is on its way. But it isn't just for you. It's a holy summons for many, for souls parched by disappointment, for hearts crushed by silence, for those still longing for just a spark, a confirmation, a person bold enough to live by truth in a world built on illusion. And you, yes, you, will become the proof that God never breaks his promises. There was a time I thought I was just someone who had been rescued. But now I see. I was also chosen and sent, entrusted with something far greater than I could have imagined. And that realization doesn't make me proud. It brings me low. It humbles me in the best way. It drives me to bow deeper in surrender, to pray with more awe, and to walk more carefully in obedience. Because I now know breakthrough doesn't come to make life easier. It comes to activate something much bigger. It comes to spark a spiritual ripple, an unseen wave of change that begins in my heart, but moves through everything I touch. And those who cross paths with me, they will not walk away the same, not because of me, but because of the one who now rests his hand upon my life. So, beloved soul anointed by the Spirit, don't shrink back any longer. Don't let shadows from the past keep you from standing in this brilliant new light. The days of delay are done. The season of hiding is over. This is the hour of your rising. This is the moment heaven calls your name with a thunder no soul can ignore. And when you step forward in faith, watch. Every chain that once held you will break. Every wall that felt unmovable will collapse. Every voice that whispered impossible will see the impossible happen, right before their eyes. And as you stand in that sacred moment, you'll finally understand why the waiting was necessary. You'll see how not a single second was wasted, not one prayer unheard, not one tear unseen, Heaven held them all. And now, as the winds of divine movement begin to stir, you won't rush with panic or excitement. You'll move with a grounded, steady peace. Because deep down, you'll know you were prepared. You were shaped. You were made ready by the very hand of God Himself. And even if your eyes can't see it yet, your spirit already knows. Doors are opening. Locks are turning. Something powerful is being unlocked in the spirit realm. And what's coming isn't just an answer for you. It's a response to cries whispered long ago in secret. Intercessions you never even knew were lifted up on your behalf. Maybe by your mother, maybe your grandmother, maybe a beloved relative who's been battling for your breakthrough in prayer for years. There were moments, weren't there, when you were too weary to even whisper a prayer, when your lips couldn't form words, when even silence felt too heavy. But in those very moments, someone else became your voice before the throne of heaven. Their quiet tears did not fall in vain. They didn't just soak the ground. They nourished the parts of your soul that had been forgotten, ignored, or worn thin by life. They didn't cry for attention. They didn't demand to be seen. They simply believed, with a faith so steady, so unshakable, it stirred heaven. You may have thought they were just silently standing near, but in the spirit realm, they were the gatekeepers, the flame keepers, the ones who would not let your calling drift away. And now, as the season turns, this breakthrough that's reaching for you, it won't stop at you. It's coming to your family, to the ones who've been lifting you in prayer when you couldn't lift yourself. Heaven doesn't forget the whispers no one else hears. While the world waits for proof, God remembers the mother who prayed beside a sleeping child, the grandmother who softly spoke scripture before the sun even rose. Small, perhaps, to earthly eyes, but to God, those moments are covenants, sealed, sacred, unbreakable. What's about to unfold in your life isn't just an answer to your cries. It's the fruit of a legacy, a lineage of faith that spans generations. Someone sowed for you, and they sowed with love, with tears, with patience no one else saw. And now, it's you who will reap. But here's the miracle. Your harvest will not end with you. It will flow backward. It will wrap around the very ones who prayed you through the darkness. You may have believed they stepped aside to make room for your rise, but in truth, they are stepping into glory too. Not the kind of glory the world hands out, but the glory of seeing their intercession come to life. Their whispered prayers, walking and breathing through someone they love. And some of the miracles you're about to see, they aren't happening because you did everything right. They're coming because someone else never stopped believing for you, even when you lost faith in yourself. Now, the God who restores will also honor. He sees the tears they cried. He sees the quiet years of devotion, and He will not forget. Because He is a God who rewards the loyal. Your house will not simply be touched by grace. It will be transformed completely from the root up, from the root. Yes, your household will be transformed completely. But that's only the beginning. Because now, even the things buried deep within your family line, old wounds, unspoken traumas, unnamed sorrows that were passed down quietly like hidden inheritance, will begin to rise. Not to torment, not to reopen pain, but to be healed. For healing cannot reach what still hides in the dark. And this, right now, is the hour when divine light is shining into every unseen corner, even the ones no one talks about. You'll start to notice it, hearts softening, people you thought would never change beginning to open, not because you tried to fix them, but because the outpouring of heaven is searching for places to rest, and it found you. And because you are in position, your family is being brought under a covering of grace. The very disappointments you once buried are becoming testimonies of restoration. Never forget, grace doesn't stop at one person. It flows. Like water spilling from a cup too full, it touches everything around it. When one soul is truly revived, the overflow reaches those who wept with them, stood beside them, carried burdens silently in the background. That's why this moment is not just your breakthrough. It is the turning point for an entire lineage. The door opening before you is not yours alone. It has been shut for generations, and now you are the one called to walk through it first. If only you knew what's been happening in the unseen, in every broken dream you carried, in every late-night whisper you thought vanished into silence, there was another soul praying, interceding, holding onto faith when yours was gone, lifting your name when your own voice had run out. You were never fighting alone. And because of that, this victory does not belong to you alone. It's a shared triumph, a glorious anthem, rising not from a single voice, but from the thread of a forgotten lineage that is now being called back into remembrance and purpose. So, when the harvest arrives, and it will, don't keep it all for yourself. Remember the one who sowed in tears. When the miracle unfolds, reach for the one who quietly believed for you, the one who laid their hands on your photo, who wrote your name over and over in prayer journals no one else ever saw. You may not have arrived here without them. And heaven never overlooks that. Heaven doesn't keep record in gold frames on walls. Heaven remembers through eternal light, written on the foreheads of those who chose to love, to forgive, and to believe, without needing to see. So be ready, not just for yourself, but for your household. Because what's coming isn't simply a shift in your personal journey. It's a rebuilding from the ground up, a sacred restoration of foundation. It is heaven's declaration that where a curse once ruled, a blessing is now taking root. Where once there was nothing but warfare, now there will be a banquet table, fully prepared. And the one who once wept in secret while interceding for you, they will now witness the very season they only dared to dream of, a season they longed for through their tears. And now, it's your turn to speak. It's your moment to lift a prayer, not as someone grasping in fear, but as a child opening their heart to a faithful Father. You might say something like this: Lord, I open my heart before you, not with trembling hands or doubt, but with trust. I believe that what is coming flows straight from your hand. Remove every lingering trace of fear, every scar from yesterday's pain that still whispers hesitation into my soul. If that sacred message is truly on its way, then give me the eyes to recognize it. Give me ears that can hear your voice, even when it speaks through the most ordinary moment. Don't let me miss the divine just because it doesn't arrive with spectacle. Shape my soul again, not into something defensive or closed, but into a heart wide open, ready to receive your light. You see the places in me, God, places that have bled from betrayal, from abandonment, from deep grief. I've sat alone in the dark, wondering if I was forgotten. But today, if you truly are preparing something from above, then prepare me too. Prepare my heart so I don't reject what's new, just because it doesn't look like the old. Heal the deep places I've avoided, so that when the new season comes, I won't limp into it, still bleeding, but I'll step in whole, redeemed, restored. For where your hand touches, pain cannot remain. Lord, I don't want to live as someone chasing chances. I want to live as someone confirmed by your word. Etch my name into your eternal plan, not for praise, not for applause, but that I may be present, at the right place, in the right moment, doing what you've called me to do. I don't seek crowns of men. I seek confirmation from heaven. I need to know I haven't been discarded or forgotten, but carefully hidden for a time such as this. And when that time comes, let me be humble enough to receive it and strong enough to walk it out. Lord, let my eyes see what is true in a world so full of shadows. And if someone is coming, someone not sent by coincidence, but appointed by your will, grant me the discernment to recognize them. Don't let me respond from old pain. Let me respond to your presence, So Lord, let not my kindness be taken for weakness, but also don't let fear chain me from offering forgiveness where it's truly due. You alone know the time that is now and the time that is not yet. Lead me one step at a time so I will not drift off course. And if this is truly the hour in which I must rise, then help me delay no longer. I've cried, I've prayed, I've waited. And if release is now unfolding, then give me the courage to walk into it fully. Don't let feelings of unworthiness hold me back. For I've come to know you never call the flawless, you call the willing. Touch every part of me still tempted to retreat. And if this is the door you've opened, I will walk through it, not in my strength, but in your holy name. And if someone is being stirred right now, not to defend, but to seek restoration, then Lord, go before us. Be present in that encounter. Teach me how to forgive, not because they have earned it, but because you forgave me first. If I'm being entrusted to extend grace, then give me a heart soft enough not to reject, yet wise enough to avoid self-wounding again. Let forgiveness flow through me like a river, pure, strong, unstoppable, like the river that flows from your throne. I don't just need a small shift in my circumstances, Lord. I need a deep, divine reshaping. Change whatever in me needs changing. Adjust how I think, how I process pain, how I cling to hope. If the whole universe is shifting to prepare the path ahead, then reshape my heart too, until it beats in harmony with your spirit. Not with old fear, not with familiar wounds. And Father, I have nothing to boast about. It wasn't my own strength that carried me. It was your mercy that never let me go. Thank you for the sacred message sent, not because I earned it, but because I refused to let go of you. Thank you for calling my name when every other voice grew silent. Thank you for loving me with a love stronger than delay, deeper than disappointment. Even now, when I can't see it yet, I believe your truth is still drawing near, right on time in your perfect way, prepared just for me. Amen. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. If this message touched your spirit, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another life-giving, soul-stirring word from the heart of God. Together, let us grow deeper in faith and live lives fully immersed in His love. Amen.